So a massive welcome to you all, first of all. Thank you for joining us. Welcome to the Engineering Talent Awards nominee interviews. These are brought to you by Equal Engineers. We are an organisation focused on improving diversity and inclusion in the engineering industry, and you can find out a lot more about what we do on our website. So this is a series of webinar interviews led by myself, Fayon Dixon, and David Perdue, where we have the great opportunity to discuss with those who have been nominated for this year's awards. Unfortunately, the awards had to be postponed because of COVID-19. However, they have been rescheduled, to get your party gowns ready and your bow ties and tuxes, because we are going to be getting together on September the 9th. So we're looking forward to that. We invite you today to ask questions, of course. We have a great guest, but it would be brilliant if you can answer questions as well. So if you have a look at the Q&A facility, it's there for you to send your questions through, and I'll pop them into the chat. And if you should need any technical support, Fraser's there for you. So just send any questions via the Q&A, and we will help you the best way we can. All of the webinars that we've been doing over these months will be on the Equal Engineers website. So do go back, have a look at them. Please share freely with everyone, because it's just such a brilliant time that we're having talking to all of these wonderful nominees. So I am talking today to Amy Wright, a senior civil and infrastructure engineer from Sunderland, who has been nominated for Chartered Engineer of the Year Award. Woo! Welcome, Amy. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you. Speaking to you from my sunny conservatory in Northern Ireland.
Ah, fantastic, fantastic. And what's the weather like in Northern Ireland today?
It's kind of ranging between sunny and the typical grey that we kind of know and love and expect.
I'm in London, and it's just been teeming down with rain all day long. So yeah, it's just one of those days, isn't it? However, I'm really glad in a way, because I've done lots of planting over the weeks, and I've got little tiny buds and seeds coming through. So I've got lots of flowers. So selfishly, I don't mind the rain at the moment. So tell us about lockdown for a moment. I don't know about you, but I've been busier than ever. How are you managing?
Yeah, it's been strange. I can't believe it's actually been so long. I think it's 3 months, is it? It seems to have flown by on the one hand, but then also it seems like a very long time, so it's very strange. I've been very busy with work, which has kept me going. And I've got 2 doggies that have kind of given a bit of a structure to the day. So get up, give them a walk, lunchtime's a walk, and then they come and tell me when it's tea time, and they're sick of me working and they want a bit of attention. So it's been strange, but yeah, it's been okay.
Yeah, these are very peculiar times. So do you think that the way you've been working is going to have an impact on how you work in the future?
I think it really will. I think a lot of companies were nervous about working from home and flexible working, and this has almost taken away that choice that they've had, and that they've been forced to do it and forced to adapt to the new technologies. And hopefully they've realised that people are working, and maybe it suits some, it doesn't suit everybody, but maybe it does suit some people, and some of it will stick. It'll be interesting to see. I think the use of technology has, people were maybe scared that it wouldn't work, but I think my team have worked really well together on Teams. We've kind of got a little system going, and it's worked really well.
Brilliant stuff. So let's get into it then. When did you decide to become an engineer?
So I haven't really got the traditional story that everybody kind of gives, is when they were little and playing with Lego. I actually loved biology at sixth form. That was what I was going to do. Had my UCAS form for university all filled out. I travelled with my sixth form to Lesotho, a country in Africa, when I was 17. Really, really good trip. Got to kind of go and see the area, do a small amount of voluntary work when we were there. Lesotho is, I think it's the highest inhabited country in the world, so which means that it's very, very close to the sun. So it is absolutely freezing at night time, but very, very hot during the day. I saw people that were living there up in the mountains who were in kind of houses made of tin, houses made of corrugated metal, and didn't really understand why people would be living in building materials in a house that was very, very cold when it was cold and very, very hot during the day. And that kind of started asking me questions. Like, I didn't really understand why humans were living in something that wasn't working. Came home, kind of researched about why that might be. Obviously lots and lots and lots of different reasons and all factors that go in, but fundamentally I decided that was something that I wanted to change and something that I want to do. And that kind of led me into engineering as problem solving, but civil engineering as the way that you can really impact the world and make changes and improve civilization. Historically, that's kind of what civil engineers have done, and that was kind of my turning point. And I realised that that was something I wanted to do. I wanted to help people and I wanted to kind of solve problems. So I didn't even really know about civil engineering. I didn't know what civil engineering was until I kind of went away and looked into things that I could do.
Mm. What I love from doing all of these interviews is finding out all the different roles that there are. It's just endless. And, you know, you don't have to make a decision straight away and say, this is definitely what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to stick at. It just sounds like such a vast area. It's never ending. It's almost like if you can think it, you know, you could be it.
I think that almost makes it difficult to tell people about engineering, but also civil engineering. I mean, myself in my career, I've kind of jumped from doing one thing to another. I haven't stuck. And I think when you're telling people about civil engineering, the massive range of things that you can do just within that career is, yeah, if there's everybody, and then some people kind of go into the really niche things and become very, very specialist, and then some people kind of keep it a bit more wide open and have transferable skills. So it's really incredible, yeah.
So talking about transferable skills then, you are currently working at a structural engineering company where you are sort of lending your practical and contractor experience to the civil infrastructure team. So, I mean, that's all about your transferable skills, isn't it? Tell us a little bit more about that.
So it's quite a small company based in the Northern Ireland, but they work all over Ireland and the UK. So I was brought in as a problem solver. The project that I'm working on very much uses my skills, trying to keep the people working on site, whipping them into a bit of shape, a lot of health and safety. And if there's a problem, kind of how do we fix it? How do we keep the site moving to try and get it finished on time and on budget? It's really it's a bit of a strange project. It's a tough one, but it's really kind of lent itself to kind of what I can offer.
So there's a lot of problem solving in there that has to be done. That sounds like it's your kind of natural thing. When did you first recognise that this was a skill that you had?
It's only really recently that I've kind of thought of it as a skill. I've kind of always thought of myself as a bit of a busybody and a bit of an annoying person who sees something that's wrong and wants to change it, which I can imagine for a boss is quite annoying, because why would you not just put your head down and do your work? Always looking for ways to do things more efficiently. So it's trying to balance being part of a team and doing your work and getting your work done well, but also trying to bring the experience that I do have and make suggestions, hopefully in a constructive way that allow it's almost the mistakes that I've made before and the lessons that I've learned. I've already kind of done that time and paid the price of making those mistakes. It's trying to make sure that people don't make them again.
Yeah, making mistakes. I mean, everything around us probably was a big, massive mistake for someone at some point, and it just took sort of going over and over and over it. So, were you like that? I've just got a quick ask. Were you like that with your family and friends when you were growing up as well? This kind of person that was forever correcting and thinking, that's actually how we can do it. And your mum's like, Amy, you're 6. What do you know?
I think I probably get it from my mum, to be honest. I think she's actually listening, so I'll have to be careful what I say. She very much has the drive that she wants to improve things and wants to do things, and I think, to be honest, I probably did learn it from her.
Well, your mum's out there. Hiya, mum. You've raised a great. You really have. So I do welcome, for some people I know have just come in, so welcome. Myself and Amy Wright are here having a little chat. She's a nominee, and we're just talking away, but if you have any questions as we go along, please just send them by the Q&A chat facility. So let's talk about the challenges about diversity inclusion, because that's what we're all about here at Equal Engineers. What have been some of your biggest challenges?
Where do you start, really? The perception of civil engineering is one that, when I started in civil engineering in 2008, was the perception is that it's old white men in the mud wearing hard hats. I know there's been a massive amount of work done by the Institution of Civil Engineers, myself included, to try and change that perception. I think we have made some ways to doing that. That's the first barrier to getting people interested in this career, and people think that they don't want to be in the mud and the rain and the wind, which is, it can be part of the job, but it's not the job. To moving on a few years, when I went as a very young female, very nervous, not sure of myself, to my first job, which wasn't a welcoming environment at all. It was night shift, it was city centre. You've got a 21-year-old trying to politely persuade men who have been doing their job for 20, 30 years that my way of doing things is not necessarily better, but should be considered. They know their job, but also sometimes, for reasons that they might not understand, we have to do things a certain way. And it is tough, there's absolutely no way of putting it. It takes a certain strength of character and a certain set of skills, which at that time I didn't have. I used to go home kind of every night thinking, have I done the right thing here? Am I cut out for this? So I got a bit of a clip round the head from my mum, from my grandmother, who said, get back out there. So I actually had a lot of management coaching on how to kind of present myself and be confident and really push my personality to get people to listen to me, because if you go over presenting as a young scared girl to men and elderly people and more experienced people, they're not going to take you seriously. But if you go over with confidence, knowing that because I do know what I'm talking about most of the time, it's trying to get them to believe that. And that's not just diversity being a female, it's diversity of a young person. It's there's a lot of different factors at play here. I've been to kind of a lot of events where I've only been kind of the only person from the northeast. There's been a massive amount of people who've been from London. That's very intimidating. There's a whole host of things at play, and as an industry, we really need to work on how do we get rid of those stereotypes, but also how are we welcoming, and that's a massive amount of what I do and why I try to make myself visible, because again, I've fought those battles, I've made those mistakes, and I really want other young girls and other young people and other people from the northeast to see that I'm out there doing it, and that maybe they can too. So I always say that I'm kind of very open. If anybody wants to contact me, I'll try and do whatever I can to help people, give people advice, point people in the right direction. There's a massive amount of schemes out there getting people into engineering if you know where to look. They're really pushing it, scholarships and placements and things to really get people into engineering, because we're desperate for people. We really, really need new people kind of into the industry. I think I went off on a bit of a tangent there, but you get you get what I mean.
It's fine. But I do have quite a few questions for you while we've been chatting. So take a gulp and get ready for these. So I'm going to combine this one. Thank you so much. Mariam Ahmed has two questions for you. The first one is, did you get angry when you made mistakes? And the second question is, if you did get angry, what do you do to calm down?
Yeah, that's actually a really good question. So I'm angry at myself that I've made that mistake, and angry that I've let everybody else down. And to this day, if my project manager finds a stupid mistake in a report that I've done, I'm like, oh, why have I done that? And to calm down, I think it's taking a step back and realizing that I am human, that I am under pressure. We're all under pressure, whether you're at school doing your homework, doing your exams, doing your job. We're all balancing a lot of plates, trying to keep everything going, and it's being not as hard on yourself. And what can I learn from this to take forward to make sure that I don't do it again? Now, I'm not promising that I'm not going to make any more stupid mistakes in reports and things like that, but it's knowing that I can do that and trying to counter that side and be aware of it, really.
Thank you so much for that. This is a question that was sent a little bit earlier, so I want to make sure I address it for Nikhil Nair. Two questions from Nikhil. One, did you get the chance to build something for those people in Africa? If we haven't covered that, please answer that. And also asks, does the fact that engineering is associated with men upset you?
So I'll answer the second part first, because that's easier. Yes, it upsets me, but I'm in engineering and I take the responsibility to change that perception very seriously. So I think it's changing, and I think there's a lot of work going on to change it. And a lot of the people fronting the Institution of Civil Engineers campaigns are young people from all backgrounds, all sexes, all races, all everything. I think that's really important. So upsetting, yes, but also quite determined that it's something that I have the capacity to be a part of changing, and that kind of is what drives me. And the Africa question, yes, my ultimate goal is development engineering. I really, really love it, enjoy it, and think it's very rewarding. So I worked in Malawi when I was at university, and afterwards as part of a student group that I set up to install a solar power scheme and a hydropower scheme to a remote village that didn't have any artificial lighting at all. There was a group of 50 of us. I led that and did that, and that was learned so much, but was brilliant. And then just last year I worked with an organisation called Sanovation, and I worked in Kenya for 6 weeks, assisting them. Again, they are expanding their treatment plants to take away dirty water and sewage from people's houses that don't have toilets and don't have plumbing, and how they can treat that waste safely. So again, brilliant experience. I'm still in touch with them, and hopefully in years to come I will keep building those links with developing countries. That's something that I really, really want to do, something I enjoy, but also it's a nice feeling to know that skills that I have and I've built up that can be used as well.
And when you're out there working to make those changes, the locals, are they involved much in the decisions of how you go about, sort of in the new infrastructure?
So I am very, 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 very strong on the fact that nobody from any developed country should be landing in, planting a school. Unqualified people should not be working on a school or a hospital or whatever, working for a couple of weeks and then leaving. I feel very, very strongly about that. I actually did a research paper on that a few years ago on volunteerism, why it does have a place in getting people involved in charities, and it can be a starting point. I think it's important to understand those things, that you have to consult with the community, you have to understand what their needs are, you have to understand the problems. If you are going to do this work, if you bring in a team of people from England who are not qualified, why are they taking away work from local people? So it's all about using local labour and training them up and getting them skills. So my Malawi project, we provided training and jobs for people to run the scheme and expand the scheme after we left. And Salvation is all about local labour. I think they've grown. I think they've got 90 staff now. It's brilliant. And they really invest in teaching them language skills and writing skills and health and safety. And that was brilliant to be a part of. That was part of the training that I did when I was there to upskill people. And really use the local resources and understand the problems and how, again, we can provide knowledge but not take away from people that are there. So yeah, I'm glad you asked me that question.
Pleased to hear that, because people are capable. It's just that the resources just aren't there for them. And
I think part of the problem is, and again, my dad worked in Afghanistan, and he told me years ago, and it stuck with me, that a very well-meaning American entrepreneur landed and built an IT facility in the middle of the desert to teach people English and computer skills, but the computers had English keyboards, which weren't any good for anybody who didn't speak the English language. There wasn't a reliable energy source. So all this money that was very well-meaning and had no bad intentions whatsoever was totally wasted because it just wasn't a suitable solution for the problem that was there. And I think that's really stuck with me, and I really apply that kind of principle to everything that I do, whether it's here or whether it's anywhere else.
That's a strong principle to have, because the ego can sometimes take over. It's the, I've got the money, I've got the resources, boom, I'll just give you that, without, as you say, getting to know what the people need and giving them a long-term solution.
Yeah.
And, you mentioned briefly about, working with young people. So I wanted to ask you, how are you promoting engineering in schools?
So I've been involved with promoting engineering skills probably since about 2008. When I was a graduate and I had a bit more time, I was in schools very, very regularly, speaking to colleges, running workshops, doing lectures. I gave a kind of couple of speeches at a graduation ceremony, keynote speeches at open days, kind of promoting civil engineering, talking about what I do. The bridge project I worked on at home in Sunderland was fantastic. They had, I think it was 2,500 students that came in over the project, and I was really involved with that and giving tours around along with the rest of the site team. And then in kind of recent years, it's been more about the organisation of things. So I'm the chairperson of a committee who are looking to create a new resource, a new classroom resource to promote engineering. But I'm also working with the Institution of Civil Engineers to roll out the Zombie Apocalypse workshop, which I created by Institution of Civil Engineers North East a few years ago. So that's been good fun as well, trying to get that up and running.
So that, to me, sounds like the best fun ever. I mean, what's not to love about zombies? But to bring that into a school environment where you can have so much fun and learn about engineering, but you don't actually even realise that you're learning. So what kind of feedback are you getting from the kids afterwards?
Yes, it's had a couple of different versions of its life, but it's all about that really. It's about kind of tricking people into learning. So they do the activity, they really enjoy it, they say how fun it is, and then afterwards I say, well, what you've just done is actually be an engineer. We have a map where they have to decide where they're going to stay overnight to keep away from the zombies, and as a team they have to decide on the best location, and then they have to present. So there you've got a feasibility study assessing, because obviously we all know that zombies can go underwater and they hide in trees, so you have to keep away from water and you have to keep away from trees. We had some groups were arguing about going via a supermarket to collect weapons, and some were going via railways because they were nice and flat to walk on. So really, really good ideas thinking, which is exactly how the engineer thinks, positives and negatives of everything, then presenting it as a team. Exactly what we do every day. So really, really nice to see the ideas coming back from groups, and then whenever they have an idea or something, we've just kind of adopted that and brought that into the activity to make sure that we keep it fresh and we keep it enjoyable.
That sounds brilliant. It really does. Just so much fun. And that's what you need to do to engage young people. You need to bring in something which is just so much fun for them. Like you say, you know, they don't even realize they're learning.
Yeah.
So I've got a couple of questions, and it leads into a question I had. So myself and also Christine Wright, I should say, and also Ayan Ali Khan. I'll just sort of put all our questions together. We all want to know about your greatest achievement. And you kind of just skimmed over it just now, but I'm going to pull it right back because I'm not going to let you get away with this. I know you don't like tooting your horn, but Faye Tovey, when she was in Strictly, all the Strictly fans out there, they might remember her and her partner did a little dance across a certain infrastructure. It is an incredible experience that you've had an infrastructure project in your hometown. So tell us all about this incredible bridge.
Yeah, so it's the Northern Spire Bridge in Sunderland. Something that was in the planning process for a number of years, and I kind of kept an eye on it. When I saw that it was finally being built, I sent a cheeky little letter to the company building it to ask if I could come along and get involved, and they said, yeah, come on down. So I was part of the team, massive team of people, really skilled people from across the world. And I was really, really lucky that I got to work on that and on such a key, big part of the works as well. So that's brilliant, yeah, massive. I think it's 108 metres high across bridge in my hometown. People see it every day. People, when they cycle over it, send me pictures saying I'm at your bridge. So that's really cool. So kind of, it's going to be there for hundreds of years, which is just a really nice feeling. But again, going back to the reason that I am an engineer, it's a piece of infrastructure for the town to get away from traffic, which is nice, but not really that exciting. But it also looks really good, and it was a key part of the point of the project, that it's telling people that Sunderland are open for business. Sunderland traditionally is very run down, an old ship building company, very, very high unemployment and not a lot of investment. So the council have really made a statement that they've spent millions and millions of pounds building a structure. Come down, work with us, invest. So it sounds small, but the location of the bridge was on kind of derelict industrial land that had lain there, prime city centre land, lain there with nothing on, acres and acres for I think 25 years. And just in the time that they were there was a massive supermarket opened on both sides. Again, brings people to the area. It's people development, it's jobs. The rundown industrial unit with shops got a Starbucks, which again doesn't sound like a big thing, but it's a brand, and where a brand comes, people come, and then other shops come. So it's all just small steps. I know at the minute they're looking at developing the land and putting nice houses in, nice schools and nice businesses. So just from this one project that somebody had a bit of belief in and people really pushed, the whole area potentially can be regenerated over the next 5, 10, 20 years and have an impact. And that's a really nice feeling that I was a very, very small part of that.
That is brilliant. We have another question from Ayan Ali Khan, and they're asking, what job would you have done if you didn't become an engineer? And another question, because they might have to leave the chat quite soon, so I want to get the questions in for them. What is the most struggling or annoying part of your job? So 2 parts there for you.
If I hadn't been an engineer, probably something outdoorsy and working with people still. I don't know. At the minute, I'm kind of like a dog walker would be a good job. I love dogs. I love animals. I think probably something that was still solving problems. So I might not have been a civil engineer, but I might have ended up in engineering in another kind of capacity. And what was the next question? The most annoying part of my job? Oh, that's a tough one. Probably there's a massive amount of pressure. A building site is a very, very busy, bustling place to be, with a lot of people and a lot of money involved. And if you're not on your A game, if you're not ready, if I'm in charge of, say, 10, 20 operatives and 5 machines that all cost an amount per hour, if I don't have their work from on the day, then they're standing there waiting for me to come. That has a very, very tangible amount of money that very quickly adds up. So I think the fact that construction sites are always fast-paced, always busy, yeah, I think probably it would be nice to have a few off days would be good.
Yeah, that's life though, isn't it? You've got to take the rough with the smooth. It can't all be smooth, can it? So another question, because I know Ian wants to go. So yeah, busy, very busy. But it's a question about the Safa British School. Did you have any part in that school?
So this is my friend is a teacher in Dubai, and I know that some of her students were interested in engineering, so I think she put up that if they wanted to join in. So hello to anybody from there that's listening, thanks for listening. But yes, you can go, you don't have to stay, because I think it's quite late. Is it later on in the afternoon in Dubai? They might want to go for the tea, so that's okay.
Yeah, thank you so much. So yeah, lovely to have such an international crowd. So thank you for coming on in. Getting back to some of these questions, they're hot. They're coming through thick and fast. Here we go. So, here's a good one. Does the climate or landscape of where you work differ your thoughts on a project? Let me say that again. Does the climate or landscape of where you work differ your thoughts on a project, or do you go on with the initial plan? And that's from Nikaya.
That wouldn't really be down to me. That would be kind of the decision of the designers and people planning the works. So they would very much, yeah, very good question, because it absolutely affects everything from the style of the works, the concrete that they use, the time that they're working. For example, if you're working in a really cold, wet place, you have to build into the program that we might have to stop work for a few weeks, a few months. It might take longer. Likewise, in very, very hot conditions, you have to stop works if it's not safe for the men to work. So people will consider that at the planning stages of the project. If that's from someone from Dubai, you'll have to look and see during the day that they might not be building during the day because it's too hot for the people working. So I think in Dubai they do a lot of work overnight because it's cooler. So yeah, you definitely have to think of things like that.
It's a lot of thought that goes in, and Miriam Ahmed asks, what was your inspiration to become an engineer?
Again, just problem solving, wanting to help people. I think it just was the obvious choice of what, I don't know what else I could have done. That really suits the kind of my personality and the set of skills that I have.
So what's your favourite part? Ariba wants to know, what is your favourite ultimate part of engineering, the civil engineering part?
Looking back at something that I've built and I've had a part of building and saying, yeah, I've done a good job and I was part of that. So again, if any of you want to have a look, just Google Northern Spire Bridge. You'll see there's some really good pictures there. You'll see how, so I was part of that from when it was just a hole in the ground to building up to the finished structure, and that's a really nice feeling that I built that, not by myself, with people, but there's a small part of that I can say that Amy Wright built, and that's really nice.
Were you tempted to put like a little etching of Amy was here in the bridge anywhere?
I think it was part of my job to stop people from doing that. So I think there's a lot of names written in concrete, but I could very well tell people off for doing it and then go and do it myself. But yeah.
It's just, your children, your grandchildren, your grandchildren's children, the bridge is going to be there forever. It's just an amazing structure, and sometimes when we achieve things we don't always get to see them. It happens in the moment and it was amazing and you remember it, but to actually see this structure, and your family, they see it all the time. They can see out their windows, can't they?
Yeah.
It's just wonderful.
And that's a very nice feeling, because you do get real satisfaction. So every day you can see the wall that you built's getting a little bit bigger, or something like, some of the time we spend millions of pounds and it gets buried and you're kind of sad thinking that no one's ever going to know that all that work's there, but everything above the ground it's a really good feeling.
Wowzers. So let's ask, Lewis Walker has a question. How do you handle hazardous environment that could destroy the progress of a project?
So hazardous environment, I'm assuming they're talking about environmental aspects of it. That's very current in England in industrial areas. There's a lot of asbestos in the ground. There's a lot of works that were done industrial, and that causes huge problems because until you start digging, you don't know what's there. So that can cause massive problems on projects. It can cause delays. It can cost a lot of other money. Environmental hazards such as working in a river is a very challenging environment as well. And again, that's all to do with the engineers that are running the project, how they plan the project, how they plan the works, how they make sure the time in the programme.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I mean, this is a great question coming from Nikhil Nair, because, you know, when I speak to young people, they wonder where they're going to ever use maths and will it be something they'll ever see again in the future. And I try to tell them, please learn as much as you can because maths is there every single day of your life. So Nikhil is asking, how do science and maths fit into civil engineering?
So I enjoyed maths, but one of the things I do with maths is I make really silly mistakes. I do all the hard work, and then when I'm writing the answer, I'll write a very simple, very silly mistake. So I would have classed myself at understanding maths, but maybe wouldn't have thought that it was one of my strongest points, which I know a lot of people's perception of engineering is that it's all maths, but it's not at all. It's the way of thinking. So I think science teaches you a way of thinking, and you're very critical, analytical. Obviously in design and structural design, you have to understand forces. You have to understand computer programming. There's a lot of the works of engineers use computer programs now, so it takes away the need for hand calculations in some extent. But again, engineering is open to everybody. We have a geologist who's just joined our team who doesn't have an engineering background at all. So we're using her skills. It's a fresh way of thinking. I think there's room for everybody, and everybody has a different set of skills that can help. So maths and science, brilliant. If you are good at them, stick at them because they are always useful, the way of thinking, and you always have that to fall back on. But if you don't, then that's okay because there's still a place for you.
That's really great advice. Nikhil now wants to know, have you had any surprising moments in civil engineering?
Probably two stick in my mind. So one, I was asked to be part of the panel that named the bridge. That was a lovely surprise because I was local, I was working on the bridge. They thought that I could be part of that, so that was really nice. So again, the Northern Spire, that's partly down to me. And the second one was the Institution of Civil Engineers did a superhero campaign where they made ordinary engineers into superheroes, and I was chosen to be one. So I was made into Bridge Star. I had a lovely purple outfit, flying across the Northern Spire Bridge. That was a lovely surprise. Yeah.
Wow, that is beautiful and so inspiring for young girls who are, because we want to get more girls into engineering. We really need to hear their side of the story and see how they would tackle, you know, the issues of engineering around the world. So what would you actually say to a girl who maybe is from a deprived area, doesn't see that hero example or doesn't see somebody that she can look up to say, you know what, I think you've got a place in engineering? I mean, what would you tell them?
I think that everybody has a set of skills and that engineering is so diverse that there is a place for everybody. I would say keep going, keep doing your research. The internet is a brilliant tool, but also social media is being used very, very heavily by the Women's Engineering Society, Institution of Civil Engineers, lots and lots, equal engineers are on all of them as well, I think, to promote schemes exactly that, to give people access, to get people in touch, to provide resources to get in. So really just keep on, it shouldn't be too hard until you do come across someone that's welcoming and trying to get you involved. So just keep on going.
You're right. We're in a wonderful position right now where you have so much access, where you can reach people across the world by sending them a tweet, you know, getting on LinkedIn or Facebook, or choose your platform. 10 years ago, that was impossible. Even 5 years ago, impossible to reach people. And, you can always ask people a question. And like speaking to Amy now, there's been so many people that have helped you on your journey. So you're happy to help, you're happy to answer questions.
And I think most people are delighted that you're interested in the career and more than happy to chat to you. I know that it's a really brilliant part of the community that people are particularly the women that I've come across in the industry. We all help each other, we all promote each other. It's very, very welcome, and it's a very good community to be a part of, and that everybody understands they have a place to help others, because we, like you said, we've all had a helping hand along the way.
That's it. That helping hand is everything. And Miriam Ahmed was just asking, do you care if men make fun of you in your role?
Yes, I care. I'm not going to lie and say that I don't care. And they have done, and they probably will continue to. Not just men, everybody. But that's true with all walks of life. Whatever you do, if you are putting yourself out there, you are always going to have people that have different opinions to you, and it's part of me, I guess, my journey, to sound quite corny, and learning to grow a thicker skin. So I think probably every manager I've ever had has told me to have more confidence in myself and to grow a thicker skin, and stand up for myself a bit more. So that is something that I'll probably be working on for the rest of my life, but is a lesson that is important to everybody, no matter where you're from, how old you are, I think. So yeah, it does hurt, but also be kind to other people.
Absolutely right. I believe in karma. What goes around comes around. So, always be careful who you're talking to. We are getting very close to the end of this seminar, and I have a couple more questions. Nikhil Nair is asking, what is the planning process for big projects in difficult environments or sites?
So a planning process can take years. Again, going back to the bridge project, I think that was in the planning stage for something like 25 years. A big bridge, a big road, anything they have to consider, or like you say, the difficult environments, anything that can stop the project from happening, whether that be the location, the environment, the climate, right down to people who might object to the scheme because they don't want a road running through their garden. That is all considered by people right at the beginning. They will make a design, they'll publicise the scheme, and people have the chance to learn about the scheme and give their opinion. Well, in the UK, they have the chance to give their opinions and make objections to the scheme, raise any concerns, and then people will go back to them, have the discussions, and try and minimise the impact to people, stakeholders, the environment. Again, big part of civil engineering is sustainability. How do we minimise the impact on our surroundings whilst making sure that we can build something that's useful for generations to come without the negative environmental impact which big building projects often do have.
And do you feel you have those kind of opportunities in your current company to sort of find those new challenges?
Yeah, so I think it's all about assessing the challenges and assessing what's coming up and saying how can we solve these problems and how can we make sure that everybody involved is on board, and anybody who might be negatively impacted, how do we work with them to kind of come up with the best solution.
A final question before my final question, and then we have to finish. I cannot believe how quickly this time has gone. Nikhil Nair is asking, if you have to, do you take risks in your career?
Oh, yeah. So I moved to my current company last year. That was a risk. I didn't know what I was getting into. I didn't know how it would turn out. I took a risk moving from my hometown to Northern Ireland. Again, didn't know what I was getting myself into. It's all about making calculated risks about what you want to do with your career, where you'll be more useful, and balancing up the pros and cons. And yeah, good question.
I feel you've kind of answered this question along the way, but Ariba was just asking if you ever have a feeling that you've got to prove yourself to guys.
Yes and no, because you can't worry constantly about proving yourself and what other people think would be the kind of standard answer. But from a personal point of view, yes, because you do feel like you have to show up, and as a female, necessarily people don't take you as seriously as they might do somebody else. So you do feel that you have to be more prepared, more professional. I'm not saying that's right. And it's something that, again, I'm actively trying to get away from, because I do know what I'm talking about. And if they don't believe me, then that's not necessarily my problem, as long as they do what I say. So again, it's all a work in process. I'm only 30. I've got a while to go yet. So I'm very much a work in progress.
Somebody once said to me, not that long ago, when I was struggling with something, is that what somebody else thinks of you is none of your business.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I'm free. Just get on and do what you got to do. So the final question, we've got to let you go. We're really out of time here. I can't thank you guys enough for sending in all of your questions. It's been absolutely brilliant. I knew it was going to be a busy, interactive one. But for us here at Equal Engineers, we want to ask you, what would it mean for you to win an award, this award in your category?
The other girls that I'm up against are brilliant. I was aware of them anyway. And all girls, can I say? It wasn't a female category, so all girls, very interesting. They are fantastic. So I think a politician's answer is just that I'm very, very grateful to be nominated. I didn't expect it at all. It's overwhelming that my name is up there with those other girls. So to win would be nice, but I'm not very hopeful. So yeah, it's just good. It's a great experience, and it's great to get your name out there and be associated with other people. And I think the awards are a brilliant thing as well, because again, it's an issue that we all have to be a part of the solution, and take responsibility for our actions and what we do. And I think the awards is a brilliant way of drawing attention to that and getting people to think about what they're doing and how they can widen the playing field for everybody and get more people involved.
Yeah, absolutely right, Amy. So that is it. We are out of time. It's been so refreshing and brilliant to talk to you. Did you enjoy working with us today?
Yes, and thank you everybody else for listening and for all your questions as well. Some really, really good questions there. Some tough questions.
Really fantastic. Miriam's last word is hip hip hooray for Amy. So let's finish there. Thank you so much. And yeah, thank you so much to all of you for watching and taking part. Your questions were fantastic. I think we could have gone on for so much longer, but that's us for today. But do keep tuning in for all of our fantastic webinars. We've still got some more nominees to speak to. And then of course, we're looking forward to being together at the awards in September. But for now, stay safe and take care, everyone. Thank you. Goodbye.